Hey, what's up? It's Matt, and every now and then I'll learn something and think, wow, that was really important or interesting, and I feel like I should have learned that in school, but never did. So I started compiling Tish lists, things I should have learned in school. Let's go. What does the X in Malcolm X stand for? So honestly, this entire video could be about Malcolm X because he's an important and interesting dude, and I literally learned next to nothing about him in school. But I'm not going to do that right now, so to give you a quick summary of who he was a civil rights leader in the 50s and 60s who argued Pan-Africanism and for most of his life black superiority and black separatism. So in 1950, Malcolm X, who was born Malcolm Little, was serving a prison sentence. And he did lots and lots of reading and thinking and sort of self-discovery during this time. In his autobiography, he explains that in that same year, he changed his last name to the Muslim's X to symbolize the real African name of his that he could never know. For me, my X replaced the white slave master name of Little, which some blue-eyed devil named Little had imposed upon my paternal forebears. He eventually went on to take the name Shabazz, which is what his children still have today, but we mostly know him as Malcolm X. Next, Martin Luther King Jr. was spied on by the government. Yeah. FBI head Edgar J. Hoover personally ordered this with the intent to undermine his power as a civil rights leader, and in 1963, it started. Basically, they took personal political information, anything they could find, and gave it to political opponents and even family members, just trying to make his life awful and discredit him in any way they possibly could. The FBI even sent him an anonymous letter trying to coerce him to commit suicide, highlighting all this undesirable information about his life. And this is kind of why I oppose wiretapping and NSA surveillance. Moving away from civil rights, let's talk about the addition of "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance. Wait, that was added to the pledge? Yep, Francis Bellamy wrote the pledge in 1982, and the original version went, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." And in 1924, it added "of the United States of America" and became exactly how we know it today, except without "under God." So when and why did this happen? Well, it was the Cold War, and the Soviets were known for being kind of atheist-y, and what better way to separate ourselves from the atheists than putting something like "under God" in our national Pledge of Allegiance? After all, someone pointed out that a Soviet could say our pledge exactly, except replace USA with Soviet Union, and it would be exactly the same. This bill was proposed and ratified on, of course, Flag Day, June 14th, 1954. And even though we put our hands on our heart, Francis Bellamy originally intended for us to do the Pledge of Allegiance with our arm outstretched like this, with our palm facing the sky and the flag, but we kind of dropped that because this looked a little bit like this. Next, why and when did we start describing countries as first or third world? This also comes out of the Cold War. In 1952, French demographer Alfred Sauvy coined the term third world to refer to countries that weren't aligned with the US or the USSR. And then because the other countries needed a name, the USSR became the second world countries, and America, of course, became the first world countries. And much later, fourth world was actually added to refer to populations that have an ethnic similarity but don't have a sovereign state, like Kurds in a lot of the Middle East. These terms originally had nothing to do with how developed a country was, but after the Cold War ended, we continued to use them, and their meaning evolved to mean more or less economically developed. And also the term second world basically fell out of use. This last one's kind of interesting. Where did people come from? To me, this was kind of interesting, because I knew we just evolved, and I didn't really think about where or when it happened. There are several theories that explain where humans first evolved, but the one with the most support is called the Out of Africa theory, that modern humans, Homo sapiens, evolved in Africa and left there around 60,000 years ago. Now, some new evidence suggests that those ancient Homo sapiens probably interbred with other species of humans like Neanderthals and Denisovans that lived in Europe and Asia and parts of Australia, but yeah, we humans are probably mostly African. Who knew? Anyway, those are all things I never learned in school and felt like were really important. I'm thinking I'm gonna make this a series, but it's not like it's gonna be weekly or anything because I can't just happen upon knowledge I wish I had learned in school. It kinda comes to me when I see it. But anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments. What are some things you wish you had learned in school that you now know? Also, as per request, I now created a subreddit for this channel. Basically, it's a place where you can post links and talk about things related to this channel, whether it's the reading we're doing or just anything you want to talk about. You can post it on Reddit, and if you don't have a Reddit account, literally all you need is a username and a password, not even an email. That's all I got. Thanks, see you later.